Okay, welcome to the folks in person. Welcome to the folks online. Thank you for coming to this event. It was so sweet. We have 10 who signed up online, 10 who signed up in person. Some folks who said they'll come in late, so they'll float in. But I am really happy to have this event. It is the 1-year anniversary. I had my first one last year, and the plan was to do one a season, and we did it. We did it all year. We did one every 3 months, basically, which is, I don't know, feels really great to me. I feel really grateful for folks showing up. I feel happy for people not being afraid to come when they know there's only going to be like 5 people in the space and bringing that intimacy with me. And I feel really mostly grateful for the opportunity to try and get free together, to try to hold our grief together, to try to build and explore within in a space that feels safe and open for all the kind of multitudes that being a queer or trans person entails. I think there can be, especially right now, a lot of places where we don't really get to let ourselves just fully, do whatever we need to do, whether that be unravel, rest, take a moment to check in. And so my hope with these spaces is to not even create, because we're all creating the space, but to, facilitate the coming together of folks who are trying to do that. And today I wanted to focus in, we'll stop the share. We started. Today I wanted to focus in on really just coming home to care. I just did a training with this Lama Rod Owens, who's a really cool Black queer Buddhist thinker. And I was certified in this new teaching that we'll do a little bit of today that is all about, it's called the 7 homecomings. And it's all about really figuring out what you need to invite in to your life to feel, or even just your mentality, to feel cared for, to be resourced. How do we really take ownership of the care we need and figure out how to feel safe enough to ask for it, figure out who we need around us or what needs to shift for us to be well-resourced and taken care of. And with the kind of caveat that we're all living under capitalism, which is, kind of actively trying to not take care of us. So it's really hard. There's so many things that are just set up for us to be stressed and running out of time, feeling like we're running out of time. So today, our practice will be really grounded in what you need, whoever you are, whatever you need. The invitation today is to listen to that first. So if that's something different than what I'm saying, if it means getting up, taking a break, taking a walk outside, you can go down, there's a little hallway back there. It's a nice little calm down zone. Anything you need to do, I invite you to really listen to yourself today and to feel like there's not one right way to do what you're doing. You can sit, you can move to the pews, you can lay down. There's extra cushions in the back. You can use it as a pillow. Or if you're at home, really make your space your own. But really today, we're just going to dive into a few different practices. And I'll have instructions throughout. I'll tell everybody, kind of the duration and whatnot. But yeah, keep in mind that you can pause whenever you need to. You can take a break whenever you need to. And you don't have to be still or even completely silent. If you have a question, if you need something, please let it come forward. The goal is just to kind of scavenge our needs today. Welcome. Hi. Feel free to sit. We're just introducing the event. But yeah, we'll go ahead and get started with that. I figured today we'll start with just a little movement just to kind of get into our bodies. I'll give you kind of an overview of the agenda before we go in. And then we'll do a little breath work, checking in on our kind of breath toolkit, the things, checking in how our breath feels. And we'll go dive into that 7 homecomings practice for a little bit, a longer guided meditation. You can feel free to, I'll remind you, but you can feel free to journal, do anything during that practice. You don't have to sit completely still. Then we'll do a little self-massage and we'll close out. I'll share and then we can all check in with each other. But for now, we'll just get started. So if you'd like to stand up, you can stand up. I'm going to use just my little square. I'm going to move my little circle. you're at home, you can stand or you can sit. Just take a moment, take a few deep breaths. Feel your feet on the ground. If you're sitting, feel the weight of your seat on the ground. And just take a moment to gently roll the neck. Like you're drawing a big circle with your nose. Going at whatever speed feels good to you. Whichever direction feels right. Perhaps stretching the jaw. You might move into rolling the shoulders when you're ready. Perhaps doing a couple inhales with your hands up and then relaxing down. And take a moment to just find a little sway. If you're sitting, it can be a rock from the hips. If you're standing, just from the knees. Trying to keep the back and hips, shoulders stacked. Feel the weight of your body shifting. You might take a deep breath in, and as you let it out, slowly fold forwards to wherever feels good to you. And just take a couple minutes to hang, trying to release any tension in the neck. Trying to feel your belly expand against your thighs. And then slowly roll up on your own time, vertebrae by vertebrae. Before we begin our practice today, just take a moment. Perhaps you cross your hands at the chest if that feels good. Put them against your thighs or your belly. And just notice how you feel. What's coming up for you right now? Is there a need? Is there a want? A sensation? Thoughts? As we breathe in, we might imagine making space for everything that's coming up. And as we breathe out, we might feel that little release, knowing we can let go for whatever we need to let go of. And on your own time, make your way down to a comfortable seat. All right, so we're going to start with little tools today in the form of breath work. I think diving into the 7 homecomings practice today, we're going to touch on coming home to the earth and coming home to our ancestors. And I think both of those things can feel a little difficult sometimes. Coming home to the earth feels a little easier than ancestors sometimes. That can be a very complicated relationship. And even though we're going to move with care today, sometimes it's nice to know we have tools to really just come back to our body. And so we'll do just a couple simple breaths with each other. The first breath we'll do is called a 4-7-8 breath. So we'll breathe in through our nose for 4 seconds, hold it for 7, and breathe out through the mouth for 8 seconds. As we breathe in, imagine just filling the belly and back with breath. As we hold it, just notice how it feels. It can be kind of uncomfortable sometimes to feel all that breath just kind of stuck in there, but then we'll release it out the mouth for 8 seconds, doubling that inhale time, really telling our body somatically, it's okay to slow down. We're safe right now. It's all right to release. And I really like this breath for de-escalation. When I'm feeling anything really big, this breath helps me. So we'll do a few rounds of that with the bell. When I hit the bell, we'll breathe in. I'll say hold, and then I'll hit the bell again and we'll breathe out. So nice and comfortable. Breathe in. Hold. Out. In. Hold. Out. In. Hold. Out. In. Hold. Everything out. And let your breathing return to normal. Just notice where you feel your breath. And we'll do one more breathing exercise called the box breath. Another simple one. We'll breathe in through the nose, hold our breath, breathe out through the mouth, hold our breath. So now we're adding a pause at the top and the bottom of the breath. This can be great for further slowing down. Sometimes when I feel panicked, this one feels a little inaccessible because it's a little slower. So I start with the other one. But this one is really good for noticing those pauses in between. There's the, I can't remember who said it right now, but a very famous person said that there is between like the action and the response, there's a pause, right? Between what's happening and what we do next, there's a little pause. And sometimes it can feel so short, it can feel like you just miss it. You don't even get to sit in it. But with breathing, we have the chance to take something we do every day, right? Breathe in and out, and really explore those pauses in between in a way that's kind of safe and lets our body be our container so we can kind of work with what we're already familiar with. And so for the box breath, we'll really just notice what's going on in those inhales and the pauses in between. Try to relax your body around the full breath. And when you're letting out, try to really push it all out. And then notice that empty state too. And let yourself know, or at least I try to let myself know the inhale is coming too. And I kind of get more comfortable with that discomfort. So that's my experience with this breath. But we'll do that a few times and then we'll move into our big practice for today. So same thing, nice and comfortable. Shifting if you need to, taking a break, breathing on your own. Everything is what's right. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. Hold. 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 Last deep breath in. Hold. Relaxing the shoulders, the low back. Let everything out. Hold. And let your breathing return to normal. Sometimes, breathing for 5 or 6 seconds can feel kind of like an eternity. That's the average length of breath is supposedly 6 seconds in and out. That's like a long breath. And so we just did a little 7-second one, not even that much longer, but just really making up a little space in our bodies, checking in and exploring what that feels like to us is the kind of point of the breathing exercises for me. Okay, we're going to move into our longer guided meditation. I'll make a reminder at the top. You can take a break when you need to, bathrooms and water downstairs. If you're at home, feel free to be on, off camera, come on and off, do whatever you need to be comfortable. And really, as we move through these practices, I'll be giving explanations the whole time. It's kind of a verbal guided meditation, but the intent for me here is to just feel care. As simple as that. Just feel the energy of care, feel loved, feel resourced, or to build the aspiration to feel those things. If it doesn't feel close to me, if I feel like I don't have the community I need, or I don't have the situation I need, just really figuring out, okay, what's that feel like though? What's it feel like to want it? And what does that teach me about what I deserve and what needs I deserve to be met? So with that, we'll dive in. I'm going to ring the bell a few times and then we'll begin. I invite you to just take a deep breath in and slowly let it out. And take a minute to arrive at your seat. Notice if sitting up feels right to you, lying down, moving. Take a moment just to kind of clear your mental space here. Perhaps trusting that whatever we're thinking about, you might notice how your body feels, checking in with the base of the body, are your legs comfortable? Notice how you're held by the ground. Checking in with the midsection. We might see how our stomach feels, our back. Notice the filling and releasing of our bodies. Noticing the lungs expanding in each direction as we inhale, and gently settling, letting the body soften on the exhales. You might bring some awareness into the arms, letting the elbows feel heavy, weighted. Our hands relaxed, as if floating in water. You might notice the feelings in our shoulders and neck, inviting a little release of tension into any spot that can have some release right now. You might check in with the jaw, relaxing the tongue and the mouth. Feeling our whole face relax, brow and forehead. And as we sit here, just arriving to our own bodies, to this community, you might set a little intention for this practice, for this moment. Perhaps you intend to fully arrive, to meet your body, to meet your surroundings. I often like to feel into the intention of getting free together. Letting all our practices, relationships, friendships, lead to us all getting free. As we breathe in and out, you might let that intention shift into a little gratitude. Just making a container to hold our practice. We can notice whatever we feel grateful for right now, in our bodies or friends or care networks. Or if gratitude feels far away, you might just plant the aspiration to create the conditions around us to feel that ease of gratitude. To know us and our friends are working towards making the world we deserve. You might feel that gratitude, that intention, whatever is coming up, has a little soft, glowing light in front of you. Perhaps a soft white light, maybe a pale yellow, something calming to you. And as you breathe in, that light reaches out to you, slowly filling your body with a little warmth. And as you breathe out, it fills the body. Like the sun on a warm day, kissing the skin. Just let ourselves be bathed in this light. Or in this feeling, knowing we can return here whenever we need to. And we'll take this time to invite in our first homecoming of the earth. Noticing the ground beneath us. You might recognize that no matter how far above the dirt and soil we are, deep down underneath us is a whole network of life. Rising up to greet you, to hold you through everything you do. Even the gravity on the earth, gently holding you like a blanket, securing you to it, is here to help you be. As we breathe in, the trees and plants around us are creating the oxygen that comes into our lungs. And as we breathe out, we feed them as well. No matter where we are or what comes up for us, the earth is here. And our simple act of breathing in and out is a care relationship with every plant around us. You might imagine yourself sitting in a big field, feeling dirt or grass beneath your feet or thighs. Imagine the warmth of that ground caressing you. We might ground into this idea that each part of the earth is connected to itself. It's just one big planet. And so even if we're separated from our ancestral lands, even if we are displaced or seeking a home, we have a home every single place we can touch. This land gave birth to us, and it's here for us, to mother us, to hold us, to be cared for by us and care for us. In every tree we've ever met, the old ones, know ways that existed far before capitalism. They know there was a time before this, and there will be a time after. And they're here to hold us through what's right now. And with this feeling of being held by the earth, knowing our body is also just the earth, giving birth to itself in different forms. We recognize this whole system. All those wonderful mystical things outside of us are also inside of us. Our blood is rushing all around. There's 70% of our bodies is water. You know, the tides and oceans are inside of us. If you cut a tree in half and see the rings, they look just like our fingerprints. There are so many systems at work showing up for you today. Caring for you and doing their best to show up for you in each and every moment. We don't owe these systems anything, but we can ground into them with some appreciation, perhaps, maybe a little reverence for ourselves and our bodies. And really just take this time to care for them. Ask what do I need right now? Do I need to move? Do I need to stretch? Do I need to cry? Do I need to breathe? Do I not know what I need? Do I need help? Just noticing the answers to these, knowing we don't have to do anything about it right now. We'll move into our second homecoming of our ancestors. And perhaps you find yourself back in your field. And take a moment to invite anyone that feels like an ancestor to you into this space with you. Today, we recognize all ancestors, but we're really only gonna ask the ones that are fully resourced and fully ready to take care of us to come close right now. Knowing the ones that have their own healing to do are calling on those they need to get their own help. And right now, we're just really inviting in care, resourced care. We might see people from our blood lineages, our chosen family. You might see non-human beings, the trees, the land, the ocean, whatever entities really feel like they came before us and are here to show us the way. We bring them in right now. And if our ancestors feel completely far, if nothing's coming to mind, that's okay too. Perhaps we just ground into the fact that we didn't get here alone. And the people that are going to love us haven't all even been born yet. There is so much love coming our way. We haven't met everybody who will so deeply care for us. So whether it's right now, in the future, in the past, that love is being generated and is here for us. Perhaps we're sitting in a circle with these guides, ancestors. We might imagine that same glowing light above us all again. And now as we breathe deeply in, that light reaches out to us all. And as we breathe out, it fills us all. There is space for our grief, our joy, our celebration, our confusion. We might root into a memory or two of the feeling of being cared for by these ancestors, by this community around you. What does that feel like? To have your needs met. To have someone see you. And say, I know where you've gone before, and I'll go with you to where you're going next. These energies of care are always here for us to return to ground into, to conjure up in just a thought. Our whole communities can arrive with us. And as we take a few more breaths, feeling this warm glow, we might thank whatever beings showed up for us today, for sharing this space, for being connected to us, and offer them the space to keep going on their way, moving wherever they were moving before, caring for all the other people they care for. As we return to our own space, perhaps moving the body a little, stretching if you need to, blinking the eyes open if they were closed. And just noticing how we feel again right now. Sending some appreciation for this hard work of cultivation that we're doing together, this container. And knowing we can come home in any minute to the earth, to those who take care of us, to ourselves, really. Even if we are under-resourced, there are things caring for us at all times to reach out to and to ask for help from. Okay. take about a minute to just get your bearings, do whatever you need to do, drink some water if you are at home. And we'll do one more little closing exercise together before I share a little, and then we all check in. So that guided meditation was a little more like imagination work than we do in these sometimes, a little more, solo practice. So we'll get back into our bodies a little bit as we end. Just doing a little seated self-massage, checking in. So you can follow along, feel free to skip any steps, do your own steps if you want to, but I'll just model the steps we're doing. We'll use our hands. You can be seated, you can stand up if you want to, if you're tired of sitting, you can move to the pews, whatever feels good. But we'll start by just taking our hands, giving ourselves a gentle scalp massage. Checking in with the fingertips, doing any tapping or massaging, whatever feels good to us. Getting those points at the back of the head, the base of the skull that can be kind of hot spots with our thumbs. And moving into a little temple massage. I like to make little circles going all the way past my ears and then coming back. Making sure we're still breathing. We might check in with the ears a little, just gently rubbing, pulling out, being careful of piercings, and letting that move down into the two kind of corners of your jaw. You can take one hand and make it kind of a little scoop shape. And we'll reach behind our neck. Right. And we're just going to gently put some pressure with the fingers as we reach towards where our fingers are pointing. And as we pull towards the spine, we bring our head to the center and let our hands slip off naturally. So this is just to reset these muscles here back to the spine. So we'll pull, let it slip off, pull, turn the head a few times, switch. Take a couple neck rolls. And you might move into a gentle tapping. You can use like a little soft fist. You can use your open hand, or you can just massage with your fingers, or rub, whatever feels good. Checking in with the neck all the way down the arms. And getting the other side when you're ready. Sometimes I like to kind of just check in with the wrists and ankles. When I'm at my wrists or when I'm stressed, sometimes I feel like this is a place in my body that I forget exists completely. Wrists could be, imaginary as far as I'm concerned in my body. And kind of grounding me here just reminds me like, this is my pulse, my blood. I'm here and there's care to be offered even just through my fingertips. And you might move your hands down to the legs, gently massaging any spots in the thighs, doing a little tapping. You can stretch out your legs to really get into them all. Perhaps you take a moment to take a deep inhale and exhale, relaxing into whatever stretch you're doing, whatever movement you're doing. And then come back to your seat, comfortable position. Take a nice deep breath in and let it all go. Thank you so much for your practice today, everyone. I appreciate you. I feel like in queer and trans community especially, it can be so difficult to, I don't know, find like expansive ancestry, expansive queer elders, expansive places to feel whatever we need. And whatever happened today is an attempt at building that. I think that, and this is my little short sharing, I'll talk for a couple of minutes, so feel free to sit comfortably, you can move any way you want, but, and you can move closer if you'd like to hear better too. But yeah, today I really wanted to come together with everybody, even to do just a, simple meditation, nothing too crazy, but to really just acknowledge that even just for myself in my body, I'm showing up and trying to believe that I deserve to be free. I think so often people in marginalized communities, or just in my experience being that way, it feels hard to believe that I deserve to be free. It feels easy sometimes to believe that I should just grind it out. I should just get a traditional job and work that way. I should not ask for help. I should restrict myself. I should do what the people around me are doing or something like that. Or I should not, go against, rock the boat so much and make these claims that abolition is attainable, or that it'll be good for us, or that I deserve it. But then coming together with, and especially queer and trans people, which is why I keep this event specifically just for queer and trans people, I think really teaches me that through the care I give to folks, I can realize how much care I deserve to receive too. And that's not the only reason I do it, but that's a nice benefit of realization I find, to really think of somebody going through a hard, difficult time in community and knowing like, thinking like, oh, I wish things could be easier for them, and thinking out like what would need to happen. Usually it always like brings me back to a huge arc of, oh, we need to we need to have a new world, and it can feel really scary to me to think that way sometimes. Like, what do we really have to start over or start again? But then rooting into things like ancestry, into the earth, into things that were here before this was here, I think it gets a little less scary for me because it's happened before. We're not creating something new. Everything I've learned, all these teachings, everything I thought was so cool that somebody taught me, somebody taught that. The knowledge isn't new. We're not making things up. We're discovering what's already there. And so in discovering what we already have, the freedom we already deserve, the power we already hold, we can really, I think, move with a little more love and figure out how to like really step away from trying to organize the apocalypse of the world and step into kind of hospicing the dying of one world and like midwifing the new world, where, you know, death doula is a really big word these days. And for me, abolition feels like being a death doula of capitalism. I get that it's here. I see that it's dying. You know, we live in late stage capitalism and we can very much tell with everything around us. And instead of trying to even fight against it in a way that kind of makes me replicate power dynamics and makes me really frustrated, I can think, how do I let this thing die? And while it dies, how do I stay cared for and move into whatever comes next, what's being birthed, with open arms? Because we can, so often power struggles end with more power struggles, right? Somebody gets out of oppression and then becomes the oppressor. And that kind of cycle kind of keeps going and going and going. We have wars, we have revolutions, then we have more wars, then we have more revolutions. And it just kind of cycle repeats itself. And so knowing that that's our kind of pattern as humans, at least, I think inviting in all that care can kind of help to break those cycles and help to let us discover just what else is there. There's so much else there. There's so much land we've never touched. There's so much water we've never seen. There's so much care to be given. And trying to solve the puzzle of the world is a task that will always fail. And so instead of trying to solve this giant, you know, puzzle, we can just figure out what's around us. How do I care for what's here? And if my actions are rooted in care, one by one, and kind of take it that way is my approach to moving through my life with a little more ease. And I find the more that I move that way, the more people are caring for me without me even asking sometimes. I remember it was so hard for me to ask for help forever. It still is so hard for me, but I started asking for help, I feel like a couple years ago. And now there are just people who are always ready to help me, you know, like who are there being like, hey, you need help? People are extending care because that's the relationship we've built. We've built a caring relationship. And I didn't realize before how much care, you know, rightfully so. It was my own trauma, my own safety measures as a kid that I had to build up. But as an adult, then I was very blocked off from a lot of care because I couldn't figure out how to receive it. I couldn't figure out how to come home to my body and figure out what it needed to ask for it. I couldn't figure out how to know who I could help or who could help me. And so now that we have that opportunity, I couldn't be more grateful to be trying to care for myself with you all and trying to, yeah, just discover more of myself, more of everything else around me through this kind of portal that at least makes sense for me of breath and body. So that was my kind of idea for today. And I hope that any of these practices resonated with you, or you had some space to find whatever you needed today, or just to start to think about it. Yeah, that's it for me today.